Now, as we briefly discussed there, to economic growth, often cited as the biggest issue facing the United Kingdom today. Well, what is it, and why does it matter? We're hearing we may be in for another era of stagflation, stagnant growth and high inflation, falling real living standards. Many argue that the high tax burden we're now living under is itself a result of lower growth. If growth were higher, lower taxes could bring in the same revenue or even more revenue for better public services. It's clear growth should be higher, but how do we get there? And how did our societies go from being very, very poor just a few hundred years ago to comparatively very, very rich today? Well, that's the question we need to answer to understand how economic growth works. And I'm delighted to be joined by a titan of thought in this area, someone who has written 19 books and holds 6 honorary doctorates. Deirdre McCloskey is Distinguished Professor of Economics, History, English and Communication at the University of Chicago and joins me now. Welcome to the programme. I suppose, first of all, how did we become so rich? A couple of hundred years ago, we were very, very poor.
Yes, you all certainly were, and we all were, and everyone was. The average income in modern prices, in London prices, in 1800 in the world was about $2 or $3 a day, as it still is in the Congo and so forth. And now in Britain, average income in the same prices now is over $120 a day. So that's two or three to 120 is a very large increase, and it's why you and I can speak with this amazing technology we have, and why I'm 79 years old instead of dying at 30, and so forth. So it's an extraordinary and unprecedented achievement, and we mustn't screw it up.
And it's interesting looking at how many people talk about wealth today. Often we talk that there are some rich people and some poor people, and the way we make the poor people richer is by taking stuff away from the rich people. But if we did that 300 years ago, everyone would still be living on around £3, £2 or £3 a day.
200 or 300 years ago, that's what happened. That is, the rich, the dukes and the kings took from the ancestors of you and me, land rents and so forth. But since then, the main thing that people own that provides them with income is between their ears. So what's happened is that human capital, as economists infelicitously call it, has enormously increased in importance, and land, which was once the basis of wealth, resources indeed, are not very important.
And why did that happen? How did we go from a world where for millennia, for thousands and thousands of years, there was basically the same amount of wealth, and then suddenly this explosion in wealth and progress and living standards? It's
extraordinary indeed. And the conventional arguments are that it's either investment, adding roads and buildings and factories, or indeed human capital, or from the left, exploitation. Those are false. What happened was we became freer. First, the abolition of slavery, eventually poor, landless men were allowed to vote, then women, then colonized folk, et cetera, et cetera.
So it's been this process of almost political reform that has allowed us to create more stuff.
Exactly. It's by being free, by having equality of permission, not equality of outcome, not equality even of opportunity, but the right to have a go, to open a shop, to move to another part of the country where it's more prosperous, indeed emigrating. All those were new rights accorded ordinary folk. Again, your ancestors and mine. My Irish ancestors couldn't read. They were unspeakably poor. And now Ireland is the fourth or fifth highest income per capita among large countries in the world.
It's incredible how we've sort of created new wealth. It's
That's
not
right.
zero sum. There's not the same amount of
That's
wealth.
right.
We can grow, we can make more. How do we apply the lessons of the past to the challenges we're facing today?
Give people equality of permission. Allow Uber, such as I just came over to the studio to operate. Allow people to start a hairdressing salon in their neighborhood, which I need. I'd like to know immediately where to go. Allow people, permit, instead of viewing people as children who need to be taken care of. What I'm advocating and what Adam Smith, I crossed myself, Adam Smith advocated, could be called adultism. Now, that doesn't mean sneering at the children or so on, and not helping them when they need it, but it means not treating other adults as children. And all other political philosophies treat people as children of one sort or another. The conservatives treat them as bad children. The left treats them as sad children, bad or sad. We're not children. And when we're accorded the status of adults, allowed to work, then we have self-esteem, and we have, we're free, and surprisingly, we become extremely creative.
It's a remarkable political philosophy. It's one that has succeeded in the past. It's one I hope governments of whatever flavour take on, start treating people as adults rather than children, start repealing regulations and all the rest of it.
Hear, hear.
Deirdre McCloskey, thank you so much for coming into the studio. I've really enjoyed this talk, and let's hope that some government ministers take it on. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you, dear.
Well, now, to a related enormous issue, housing. A new poll by Ipsos for the New Statesman